Welcome on in. I'm Tyler Byrum, and this is a Media Timeout. The regular season has come to a close, and the Washington Mystics' first year under new leadership has as well. There were ups, there were downs, but overall, I think there is a consensus that this organization is a step ahead of where many expected them to be at this point in the process. To recap and review the season, I'm pleased to welcome back friend of the show, Jenn Hatfield. She's the Washington Mystics beat reporter for the Nine Basketball, among a variety of other hats that she also wears with that publication. Jenn, let's just start things off with your general thoughts on the Mystics season. I think for some it's kind of hard to encapsulate where they are because they had such a strong start to the year. In mid-August, they were 16 and 18, looking to maybe contend for the playoffs, and then they lost their final 10 games. How do you make sense of all of it?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me back. Excited to be back. But you kind of alluded to it. I think it was almost two seasons in one, before the trades and after the trades that came in the week of the trade deadline. It's kind of hard to summarize the season in just, a sentence or two because it was so different at the end than it was at the beginning. But overall, I think, as you kind of alluded to, it was a season of growth, even when the results went a little bit downhill at the end of the season. A lot of young players got to shine. Sidney Johnson got his first season as a WNBA head coach. Lots of growth, lots of reasons to be excited about the team, and a lot of work to be done in the offseason as well.
Yeah, the clear goal this season was not to go out and try and win with a young team. That was not the goal of the team. That's what they did at times, but that's not what the ultimate goal was, which leads us to our jump ball question to start the episode. Jenn, who wins this jump ball? The Mystics have laid the foundation for a championship contending organization after this first season. True or false?
I think it's true. It doesn't mean that I'm saying they will necessarily win a championship one day under this regime or that they will win it in a certain period of time. But I think they have taken the right steps forward since deciding to go kind of all in on team rebuild.
In the concept of the question, I'm going to go the other way on it. I'm actually going to say false, and it's coming straight off of what Jamila Wideman said in her exit interviews of them laying the foundation for what the culture they're trying to establish and what they're trying to build is not just a 1 year process. It's something that's going to be extended on into 2026, perhaps 2027 as well. It all wasn't done in this year. While there were a lot of high notes, a lot of good things the team could reflect on, I feel like the front office is really taking a wait and see approach and trying to make sure they are slowly building as they go. And with what Jamila said, they still got more work to do in terms of building the foundations of what they want. So right now I'm saying false, but it's not false in a sense of they can't get there. It's just like we're still pouring the concrete for that foundation. It's still more to come.
They've laid part of the foundation, we can say.
Sure.
Foundation's still being laid, but it's in the right place on the plot of land to build the house.
Correct. Yes, you're reflecting that perfectly. So let's talk about someone that hasn't gotten the whole credit of the person that built this culture, making sure all the pieces were in unison. We have to talk about Sidney Johnson, the head coach. I think we can be realistic and say that I don't think he's going to win Coach of the Year here in a few couple weeks because of what other coaches have done in the league and they missed the playoffs. But he should certainly be in the conversation with what he did. Don't you think so, Jenn?
I agree, definitely. I think, the 10-game skid to end the season certainly didn't help his candidacy, but it's hard to look past the start that he had for sure and all the kind of intangibles, the buy-in that you see, all of that stuff to help them really outperform what a lot of folks expected, even if the final record isn't, a lot to write home about at this point.
Yeah, he came into this team with just one season of WNBA experience. That was being an assistant coach for the Chicago Sky under Teresa Witherspoon last year. And as a first year head coach, I don't want to say it was both a mix of he was very confident in his abilities to be a coach, but at the same time, just almost acting like a kid of like, I can't believe I'm here
Yeah.
type of mentality. It was like a mix of both. And very early on, he tried to make it clear that despite there being a lot of returners on this team, that there was a direction change and you needed to kind of be a part of where we're going as a group with building towards the future. We ended last year with Shakira Austin telling us, we actually started this year with Shakira Austin telling us that one of her goals still is to make the playoffs. They made the playoffs once with Shakira Austin. I think it was a rookie year. And they haven't been back since. And Kira didn't play in any of those games, which is why she wants to make sure that they're making that push. But then making sure that Shakira Austin kind of changed that mentality. And it's not just Kira. We're talking about Steph Dolson, who still wants to win a second championship. We're talking about Shug Sutton, Jade Melvin, all these players that are veterans of this league and want to go forward. I think that was one of his first big challenges this season was getting that full buy-in. And while it may have taken some time, I do think early on he was able to get all those players on board. And certainly by season's end, everyone that was on the roster was bought into this whole process they've laid out.
Totally agree. And, I think there's kind of like an earnestness to him that, at the beginning of the year, some of the veterans are like, like, like Steph Dolson was talking about how he's kind of like, he like talks about his feelings a lot and she's not really like that kind of player. But she was like, okay, like I kind of get what this dude's doing. And, he's like just so like happy to be there that I think it kind of like rubbed off on everybody, even if they were a little bit like, oh, this is different than what I'm used to. So just like his vibe, like, and I think it did that because it's like so authentic. He wasn't like putting on any sort of show. He was just like, "Hello, my name's Sydney, and I'm so excited to be here." And that's genuine and real. And I love you guys. And I think everyone really responded to that. And not even just the young players who it was kind of, you could say it's like kind of like geared toward them. The Mystics were building around those young players. It was almost like a college atmosphere, but it kind of worked through up and down the roster.
That what you're describing with Steph Dolson, that's the UConn basketball coming out of Steph Dolson. I'm not talking about our feelings. As far as Sydney Johnson is concerned, I think they got the right guy for the culture that they're trying to build. Not even talking about X's and O's and the performance of the team on the season. I think for what the team and organization set out to do, they got the right person in charge that would be able to relate to all the points that we've said before. Let's inbounce the ball. Let's move on. Have to talk about the rookies. Have to talk about Sonia Citron, Kiki Ariafin, two All-Stars. They both are definitely going to be named to the All-Rookie team this season when it gets announced. If you go all the way back to our All-Star Game episode, we chose our fighters in the classic Smash Bros. Fashion. Sonia is your fighter. Kiki is mine. Jen, how about you make sense of Sonia Citron's rookie year?
I mean, it's just been incredible. Like you could say that a number of different ways. But I mean, everyone thought she was going to be a WNBA ready player. But I'm not sure a lot of people thought she was going to be an all-star her rookie year, least of all her. And it looked like just before the All-Star break, it looked like she and Kiki were kind of slowing down a little bit, maybe going to hit that rookie wall. And it was kind of like, oh, I wonder how long this is going to last if they can get through it. Because at the time, the Mystics were in playoff position, and it was like, can they like keep this push going if their rookies have kind of hit the wall? And then, Sydney Johnson acknowledged this too. It was like a game or two around the All-Star break, and then the wall just disappeared, which doesn't usually happen for anyone hitting a wall, let alone rookies who've been playing basketball since like the previous October. So it was just remarkable to see her kind of surge. And then once Brittany Sykes was traded, Sonia Citron becomes the number one option on team scouting reports. Continues to get manhandled, as Sidney Johnson took pains to point out in his exit interview, going basically as far as he could without getting fined to criticize how much she is held and grabbed all the time on the perimeter. And just her ability to not only deal with being the top option, but also playing more on the ball. The Mystics made that adjustment late in the season to have her have the ball more and frankly probably not have to work as hard to get it for her first touch. And to see her adjust to that on top of everything else she was adjusting to, on top of the fatigue of playing for so long, on top of the pressure as being the top option. I mean, like hats off to her. She had a great year.
Yeah, she had a phenomenal season. I mean, we're talking about the all-time Mystics leader in scoring for a single season, already up to 31st on the Mystics all-time scoring list. She is someone that, well, I think Paige Beckers is going to be winning Rookie of the Year. Both Sonia and Kiki deserve serious consideration for that award. Sidney Johnson said that as much in his exit interview with us. And no one, everyone thought it was going to be a runaway season for Paige Beckers. Like Caitlin Clark last year, everyone just thought it was going to go one direction and there was going to be no competition for it. And with what Sonia and Kiki did this year, they definitely have made their push. On the Kiki side of it, she averaged 13 points this season, second most on the team behind Sonia. She had 8.5 rebounds per game, fourth in the WNBA this year. She also had 16 double doubles, which is crazy considering how short WNBA games are. And I mean, Angel Reese has just made it look so easy for the Chicago Sky, but getting double doubles is not something that your everyday player is able to do. I mean, Kiki already has more double doubles than Shakira Austin has throughout Shakira's entire career. 2 years ago, when the Mystics were in this spot, and I was kind of looking at lottery projections for the 2025 draft, I don't want to say I expected Kiki when she joined the WNBA to have as big of an impact that she did. But I do think with her blend of physicality and athleticism that this was in the realm of possibilities. And while she struggled at UFC in a whole different system and opened up about kind of lost the love of the game that she had gained her entire time of playing basketball, I think the biggest takeaway this year for Washington and when it comes to Kiki Iriafen is one, they have a phenomenal player that many consider to be one of the best up and coming post players in the league. But she got back, and it's our organization's favorite word, she got back her joy of the game, of making sure that she is enjoying playing basketball and in an experience where she is able to have her time with Sonia, with Lucy, with Kira, and just enjoy being in their presence. Because I don't think she necessarily would have gotten that anywhere else in the league. And then that just helped her kind of regain her confidence that she may have lost last year. All that raw athleticism and physical ability that we know that she can do really showed out. I'm not going to go as far as others and say that she's this dominant post player that's going to be contending with MVPs for years to come, but she definitely this year more than held her own. And if this is the baseline for what we get for Kiki Iriafen, we're set up for a big, big future for what Kiki can be in this league.
Yeah, that's totally well said. I mean, it just like with Sonia, we had a feeling that she was going to be good, but in Kiki's case, she was facing such a crowd in the front court at the beginning of the season. It wasn't even clear that she would start. And
Yeah.
and if Shakira Austin and Aaliyah Edwards hadn't been hurt, maybe she would have started her career coming off the bench. And instead, she started and had this meteoric surge in her first couple games, and then just never gave Sidney Johnson any sort of reason to change his lineup ever, which I think is underrated, right? Like as a rookie, like you're expected to go through ebbs and flows, and no one would blame her if she had like a little bit of a lull and someone else was kind of waiting in the wings with all the great bigs the Mystics have. But she just like with Sonia, like maybe hit the wall a game or two and then broke right through it.
Let's start to wrap this up. The big question about this season is it being a rebuild and how is it going to set up the team for the future and kind of are they on the right track? I think we all agree they're on the right track. But Jen, from your perspective, kind of where is the team at in this rebuild process?
Before we had Jamila Weidman's exit interview, I probably would have said, they're ahead of schedule, they're doing great, they could make the playoffs really soon here and off they go. Everyone wants a rebuild to be like a straight line up toward stardom, right? And I think basically what Jamila Weidman was saying in her exit interview is it's not quite that linear and might not be that fast. She kind of declined to say whether making the playoffs next season is a reasonable goal for them. And she said she wants to see a lot of the same as this year in 2026. So I think it's going to be a little maybe slower and steadier than some Mystics fans might want. Maybe a little bit frustrating at times, but I mean the fact remains they've got three more first round draft picks and they'll probably want to kind of integrate them with the team in much the same way they kind of nurtured Sonia and Kiki this season. And plus they'll have Georgia Amore coming off her ACL tear, so she will effectively be another rookie with the group. So I think we're still going to see a lot of youth and kind of from a mentality standpoint, it's not super clear when we'll see the Mystics front office kind of make that mental leap between we're at the beginning of the rebuild and not focusing on results yet, just focusing on development to, okay, we are focused on results. We are actively aiming for the playoffs. That is the expectation here. They don't seem ready to make that shift yet. And that's an important kind of inflection point for your rebuild.
Yeah, I am in lockstep with you. I agree. It doesn't necessarily matter what me and you want or necessarily what the fans want. The organization has laid out a plan that this is going to take some time. And they are showing that they are not going to be rushed, no matter what these high peaks can be very early on in the process. They aren't going to get greedy and try and make grabs based off of that. They know what they're going to do. We don't know if that plan's going to necessarily pan out, but we do know that they have a methodical way of looking about it, and that's how they plan on moving forward. Well, that is the whistle, Jen. Thank you so much for joining. You can follow all of Jen's work on the Mystics as well as the Ivy League when the college season picks up in a couple of months. All of that at the9basketball.com. For everyone watching, thank you for taking this media timeout from your day. Now back to the action on the court.